Yeah, that's kind of like a precursor to my podcasting experience.
Yeah, the editing thing is, gosh, it saves so many things.
Yes, because
I did it the other day in the one that we shot.
I said so many things. I was like,
out.
just re-say it. You don't have to say the story so many times. He was like, just say natural, and then I can edit whatever you don't want in it. So
yeah, because most people get nervous about being on there. Like when we do stuff at the school all the time, right? Especially with the little kids, I'm like, don't worry, just say whatever.
Yeah.
So looking for a segue to get started, and that was it. So today I'm sitting down with someone who I coached 5 years ago for the first time. 5 years ago.
Crazy.
Just 1 year of it, but then build a relationship during that year, and I've stayed in touch. Went to school at Greenview, not far away, and we found in the last 5 years very similar tastes in a lot of things.
Yes.
And there's nothing I love more than someone who's getting ready to be a freshman in college, who's that age, and has a love for music that came out long before they were born.
Yes.
And on Instagram, I'm the king of putting like in my story what I'm listening to, and to have Tessa Wohler, who's here with me today, comment on it. And the ones you sent me the other day, you're not supposed to know what those two things are. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, is I wanted to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But we have many other topics we want to hit on before that. So why don't we start? So again, Tessa Wohler, thanks for sitting down with me today on my podcast. Never had played basketball before a day in your life.
Never.
No biddy ball, no nothing.
Nothing.
And hadn't played softball before either. So Greenview and Atlantic Central are playing softball together at that time, and basketball as well. And you're an 8th grader.
Yes.
And
a lot of peer pressure to do those sports.
Some
yes.
friends
Which was fine. It made it more fun because I had friends on the sports. So yeah, it was the last day of softball. It was the last softball game. And then one of my friends was like, you have to do basketball. There's basketball practice tomorrow. And I was like, I'm not a basketball player. I don't play basketball. Right. And they were like, it'll be fun. Just go. If you don't like it, you can quit. And I was like, I'm not going to. I just knew right then. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it all the way.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, if I try it, I don't like it. Like knowing I wouldn't actually quit. But I was like, okay, fine. I'll do it.
Yeah, I remember Shane saying, he was telling me who the kids were, because it was the very beginning for me.
Yes.
And because I had been coaching the varsity boys and had retired at the end of February and hadn't planned on coaching anything. And he mentioned that you had never played before, but you were a good kid, athletic.
News to me. I never heard you tell that before.
Yeah.
I babysit his child, which is kind of funny. So
yeah. So he told me that 5 years ago. He said that, hope you stuck with it, but you had never played before. And that would have been intimidating. And then again, with a coach that you had never met, a guy that, not that I'm the meanest guy, but I definitely, but if you didn't know me,
I'd never seen you.
And you had to set the tone. And by tone, I mean, you had to hey, we're taking this serious.
Yes.
We're not we're not messing around. Exactly. And, I don't know what it had been like in the past, but I knew what I wanted. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it right.
Yes.
So yeah, it's funny to think that you had never played before and then ended up starting every game your 8th grade year.
Which is, crazy to think about.
And the game is difficult. It moves 1,000 miles per hour.
That first game was so scary. I was like, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. Like I was, so like it was going so fast. Like practice, it was fine because we'd done it so many times, but you're playing against.
Yeah, and
it's like
and
organized.
Better, and they're better. Like
you
play some good competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so scary for me.
And that makes it even harder that it goes 100 mile an hour. And the competition on some nights is really, really good. Some nights you might be playing against 5th graders and 6th graders. The next night you might be playing against all 8th graders.
Yep.
One night you might be playing against girls that went 75-1 or something in their 2 years of high school.
Yep.
So, it's a hard sport, and volleyball was your sport.
Yeah.
And it can be quick too, but it's just different.
There's stop and goes for sure.
And you go from offense to defense so quickly in basketball, and you really honestly have to know what to do.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know what to do that first game. I was confused a lot of the time, but I kind of just fed off what other people were doing.
Right. Well, you played hard. And you had teammates that played hard too.
Yeah.
The Madisons and Lana, played hard all the time.
Yeah.
And they they knew what they were doing. Sophie knew what she was doing. And then the girls who were younger kind of knew what they knew what they were doing too. They're just a little bit younger.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so much fun. It really was a fun year. We obviously won that tournament at the beginning of the year.
That was so cool because Greenview, we've gotten close to winning tournaments, but we never, we don't have the amount of people to. Right. And winning a tournament like that was so much fun. Like, especially because I'd never done it before. Yeah. And it's sport I'd never done. I was like a part of that. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was funny because I'll always think back, and it wasn't you, because again, one nice thing about you not knowing a lot about basketball was you basically did whatever I asked you to do.
You didn't have to fix anything. You just
you tried to do what I asked you to do, and you didn't think you knew better than me.
Because I didn't.
And you hadn't played.
Yes.
The second night of the tournament, I think it was the second night of the tournament, we were playing a game and we didn't all agree that what we were doing was the right thing to do. And I love them to death, but I kind of, at halftime, that was the first time they saw the other version of me.
I remember,
If we're not going to listen to me, I could be sitting at home on the couch with my wife right now. I don't have to be here. If you want me just to sit there and watch you do whatever.
I kind of remember this, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember being told, like, oh, you better be careful, girls, cry easier or whatever. And I think there were some tears that night, but not because I was being mean, but because he didn't want to let me down. Like,
yes.
It was even that early on in it. It was like, he's right. We're going to listen. And we came out and won that game. And then we blew whoever out in the last game when we won the championship.
Yeah.
And that was the moment, I think, built relationships that night. Cause I wasn't sure.
Yes.
And we're going to
how it was going to go.
We're going to get into this. Like when you've helped coach coaching is all about pushing buttons sometimes.
Yeah.
And you've got a button that you're getting ready to put your finger on it. And you're like, I don't know, because if I do this, I might make this person be a big baby and they don't try harder. Yeah. Or I might push this button and now all of a sudden they're trying as hard as possible.
That's how I kind of am. There's certain things like I need people to kind of yell at me once in a while.
Right.
As long as it's constructive, which you always were constructive, because I've had coaches who weren't. But being I need all the constructive criticism I need, because that's what helps me.
Right.
Is telling me what I need to do better. So that always I liked about whenever you were my coach, is because I always knew like you were going to tell me what I needed to change.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying like, don't do that.
And it's just, and the reason we talk about you coaching, because you helped with middle school volleyball just last year, or have you done it for a couple of years?
I started doing it my junior year junior year.
Yeah.
My volleyball coach asked me to help out. So I helped most of the practices and then went to pretty much all practices and games. And then it's my senior year. I was like, I'm going to need a little bit of time off, but I will definitely still be there. So yeah.
So you definitely saw the other side of it. Trying to get middle school kids to do.
Yeah. And you have to set the tone, because I've witnessed firsthand of coaches who don't, and it's just chaos. Like they don't respect you at all. Luckily, my volleyball coach is like very stern, and they think of me the same because I'm associated with her. So I kind of,
Yeah, because you do have to set the tone. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the best way to say it. You don't have to make it. You want it to be fun too, but you also, like you hope we're not just doing this to screw around. Like we have a goal of what we're trying to do. We don't have to win every match or every game, but why are we doing this if we're not trying to do our best and improve? Yeah. And I think that's one of those things. And that's what I thought, even when I started doing that, coming from high school boys, was, I want us to get better, trying to build a program, try to help build a program and, get more kids to be involved. And volleyball is hard to play. Mm-hmm. It is. It's not easy to do things in volleyball. Mm-mm. But you're not running into people like you are in basketball.
That was so different with the contacts.
It's physical. And again, you're running around a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, some people in volleyball might just serve.
Yeah.
They serve, get a couple in, hit one out, and they sit back down. Not everybody plays the entire, to where you played the majority of the game, again, a game that you had never played before.
Probably the best shape of my life I've ever been.
Right. Yeah, just because you're running almost the entire time.
Yeah.
You really are.
Which at the beginning was super hard to especially the contact part.
Yeah.
I'm not a touchy-feely person in general.
Or getting ran over.
Yeah, like the first couple games, I was like, I don't know. Other people were so much more aggressive trying to get the ball, which was definitely it was hard to get into that. But eventually I started to in defense and everything. But yeah, I just never been a touchy-feely person. So that's what was great about volleyball. I don't have to touch people.
Right. And you're not even going to run into your own teammates for the most part, unless it's an accident.
Yeah.
Or unless
the most touch we do is a huddle, and that's it.
Yeah. Right. Basketball, you're making contact almost every trip down the court. Someone's running into you, or you're running into someone else. And what's weird is like,
I know a lot of the teams we play. Like, I know girls. I'm not like friends with them, but I'm familiar with them, social media, all this stuff. And so playing them and then just being like chest to chest, like in their face, was so much different than volleyball because you're across the net. Like, you don't have to be up all in their business to play them. So that was super awkward. And a lot of the time it was super awkward for me. But yeah, looking back, it wasn't that bad.
And it's funny because you would never have done it and we wouldn't be sitting here right now if you hadn't. I mean, and I think that's, if there's anything that's positive from that, or there's lots of things, but it's good to try something different. You never know what kind of relationships or friendships you're going to build by taking that chance and doing something, and made good memories that year and had fun, and those things will last forever.
Yeah. I learned a lot too, which I never, with volleyball, I felt like I kind of knew everything at all the practices, and it was, like I said earlier, it wasn't boring, but it was repetitive. I'd done it before. Yeah. It wasn't anything new to learn. Like, in high school, definitely there were things to learn, but in junior high, it just kind of felt like the same things over and over. But then with basketball, it was like I was learning something new every single day. And it was funny because I remember thinking this then, and I still thought about it afterwards. I kept thinking, when is the boring practice going to come?
Right.
Like, every practice, I remember going home and thinking, like, I wasn't bored that whole practice. We were doing something that whole practice. Not that we don't do anything in volleyball, but there were lulls and times where I'm just like, how many more minutes till we go home? And then time flew by in basketball practice.
When you coach basketball, a lot of practices, you'll look at your watch, especially early in the year, and go, what? Like, we got this. We still have to go over this and this and this.
And I remember other girls thinking like, oh, I just want to go home at basketball. And I was like, I don't know. It was fun for me because I like learning. I loved like learning new things and getting better at things I'd never done before, because I didn't want to be like, if I was going to do it, I was going to commit. I was going to try my best, because I wasn't going to be the person that's like doing it and then they're like, oh, she doesn't even try.
Well, I think the thing too, like what you were saying about volleyball, and it's not a negative. How you said it's not a negative, but you knew you knew the positions on the court, and basically whatever. But when you came to basketball, and I didn't do a very good job at the beginning of explaining. Sometimes, like, I would catch myself. You got to remember, so and so doesn't know what you're talking about. I would say, go to the elbow. You don't know what that means, because it's not like okay.
Even just like game, like I didn't know certain like specifics of the game. Like, I didn't know after halftime you switched the baskets. Like, I didn't know that. Like, I was like, wait, why do they do that? Is that supposed to be like that? Yeah. I didn't want to be the person who goes over the half court line after that and like look like an idiot. So
that would have made it a situation where you would have had a lot of things to learn, because there is a lot of things that you in terminology and things like that if you weren't around it, you wouldn't know. And I did. It was funny, those first few practices, I had to catch myself and be like, wait a minute, you can't go that fast. We don't know, this isn't something we know. We don't know how to do this or that, or we don't know, those things. I'm saying, go here, go there. And with girls, I think it's because boys think they know better, so they're not listening. With girls, if I told you to go somewhere, you did exactly what I said. Yeah. A boy will think, I know better. Like, you think that's not, I want to go here or do this. And that's probably why I yelled more when I was the boys coach than I did when I've been the girls coach, is because probably listened to me better than what the boys would listen to me. I'll always remember, though, whenever I think back to the year you played for me, we played West Lincoln Broadwell. And
I remember that game very vividly.
We played them in Easton. And for people if someone's listening to this and they're from where I grew up, they've probably surely heard of Lincoln's high school girls team that is the same age as you are. And most of those girls played for West Lincoln Broadwell.
Yep.
And they didn't lose a game in junior high, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
From like the 5th grade through the 8th grade. And if any one of them, for whatever reason, would listen to this, I apologize if I'm getting it wrong. But they were great, like unbelievably great. Like we could have played them 5,000 times and we would have lost 5,000 times.
Right.
And as the coach, you're trying to get everybody to believe that what you have to do is you want to go out and play as hard as you can play.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? What are you going to do? Like, you know that this is not going to go your way. Who are you? Like, are you a person who, well, I know I have no chance, so I'm not going to try, or I'm going to do the best job that I can because that's who I am.
Yeah.
Even though I know I'm not going to win, or I know
it's
I'm
all
not going to
mentality.
succeed,
It was like that.
or I'm going to go to a job interview where I know I'm probably not going to get it.
Yeah.
But they're still going to see who I am because I'm proud of who I am. So obviously we're getting ran at the half. We're getting beat. And I knew some of the girls were down, and it's hard. Not everybody can do that, especially when you're in junior high.
Yeah.
So when you're the coach, and you know this from being a coach, and maybe when you were helping, you didn't go in at halftime and do a lot of the talking or whatever, but you were watching the people in the room, listening or not listening to the coach. So I'm looking around the locker room, and I'm trying to, rah-rah, do my thing, knowing we're getting killed, and it's gonna keep being bad. You were locked in. You were listening to every single word I said. In this way, you're doing what I was just saying. You're like, I don't care what the score is. I'm going to try to listen and do. And you went out in the second half. And I just remember this because when you've coached as long as I have, those are the things you notice. You notice people who do that. Like, okay, he said this. I'm going to go try. I'm going to try to go do what we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to go down every time and not turn it over. We're going to try to get a shot. I don't care if it goes in. This is what we're going to do. And you are just locked in a room full of people who I would have my head down to probably if you're getting ran. And I always remember then you went out in the second half and we still got killed, but trying to do whatever it was that I asked against this team that now has won the state championship, high or school girls.
Yes.
Their best player was Miss Basketball in Illinois, which is huge. One of the other people on the team went to state in volleyball, basketball, cross country, and track. Like they were just, Mr. Bowman, who used to be at Atlanta Central, his daughter, they have so much talent. And in that night, I'll never forget that because I remember that's one of my favorite parts of coaching. And anyone that's coached knows what I'm saying is in that moment, you did that. You did that thing that you want a kid to do. Like you want him to go, you're right. I'm going to do whatever you ask. And the funny thing was after the game, the speech I gave was we could feel sorry for ourselves and, it bugs us that we got beat. And I said, I told you girls, I said, don't trip over me. I'm going to leave the loss at the door. This doesn't mean anything about the rest of the season. I'm leaving all my feelings about, it's no fun to get beat. I'm going to leave those at the door. Don't anybody trip over them on your way out, and you should leave yours too. And those are the times when you say something like that and you think as a coach, that's pretty good. Yeah. Hopefully they listen, hopefully, because what you can do is you can let that, and that's life.
Yeah.
You can, this didn't go well, so I'm carrying that baggage, or this didn't go my way, so now I'm carrying that baggage. The next thing you know, you're carrying around weeks worth of things that you can't do anything about now.
Yeah.
And
there was a lot of games like that for volleyball too. People were defeated before we even got there. Right. Like as a captain, I'm just like, come on, who cares? Just don't give up. It was so annoying to see that. Like as a player, as a quote coach, it's aggravating because it's like, you're better than that. You don't, just because they're beating you doesn't mean you're not good.
Right.
It just means you're not trying as hard as you are. I don't know. It was weird to be on both sides of that.
And I think that's what makes sports great, is that's a life thing too. It really is. It's not just going on a volleyball court or going on a basketball court. It's like, if you assume the worst before something even happens, you've just made the chances of it being bad probably be bad.
Yeah.
And the chances of you being able to battle through it have just been minimized because you've already decided that this isn't going to go well, or I don't like this, or I'm not getting treated fairly or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, that's why I wanted to talk about you coaching too, or being around it, because you see it too. And I'm sure it was funny, especially as a senior and even as a junior, you're like, gosh, I wonder if that's what, or my teammates like that when I was that age,
Well, I don't want to brag, but I've always kind of like stepped up into the captain roles just because like when I look around and no one else is doing it, I have to it's just, I don't know. It's something in me. I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. Yeah. Like talking, being loud, kind of corralling my team, getting them all under the same page. And then I think we're under the same page. I'm like, okay, there's been sometimes this past season, the past couple of years, where we're all like, okay, it's fine. We know they're going to beat us. Talking about like some good team that's probably going to beat us, but who cares? Let's go out and try our best. And then we go out there and it looks like me and a few other girls got the memo.
Right.
And it's so aggravating because you feel like almost as like I failed. Like I thought like, well, I don't know. Like, come on, let's go. And then you feel like you're trying and no one else is. So that was kind of a bummer some of the times. And then as a coach, not really coach, but helper coach, whatever you want to call it, it was kind of in the same boat. Like,
and you have less control.
Yeah.
Because at least when you're playing, you can play harder.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
when you were coaching, it's like,
yeah.
And I know from my own experience,
yeah,
I can't go out there.
yeah.
I can't, I've got to try to motivate you while I'm over here. Mm-hmm. Or I've got to try to, get you to believe in you while I'm over here. You got to have some of it on your own where you're like, again, this is who I am. And no matter what, I'm going to represent myself the way I want people to see me. And I'm not a quitter, or I'm not a person who pouts, or I'm not a person who feels sorry for myself. And when you're coaching, you can preach that somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was funny while we were just talking, and I was thinking of, you were talking about being a leader. We haven't even talked about talking about this, so I'm throwing you a curveball. You did something this last spring that I did when I was in high school, which wasn't be the valedictorian. School play. Was that how many were you in them all through high school?
No, actually, I just started my junior year. I just did it the 2 years, and I never done it before. I was like,
how about that?
Yeah, it was fun.
I loved it. It's one of my favorite things.
Really?
That I did in high school. My school quit doing them for a long time, and then my sophomore year was the first year they did it. Mm-hmm. And we did 2 a year. We did one in the fall and one in the spring. And it was just a play. We never did a musical or anything like that. Yeah,
same.
And I loved every minute of it. And that's some of my best high school memories, school play.
Yeah. At Greenview, we don't have a drama department at all because it's so small. And it's usually, I don't want to say this, but it's usually not weird kids, but kids who don't have anything. They don't do sports. They don't do anything else. Yeah. So this is something else they do. And we were kind of friends in high school. She asked me to do it because we were doing Clue my junior year, which was fun. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. Like the practices, the hours were weird. It was like 5 to 8. It was after I was coaching volleyball. After I was helping out with junior high volleyball, and I'd have to go to that. And at first I really hated it because it just took up so much time, but the payoff was so good. And then I wanted to do it the next year. And this year it was really fun. Even if the play themselves is like stupid, it's still like fun because it's something you made.
Right.
And it was really fun. And people are like, I could never do that. I could never get up there, blah, blah,
loved
blah.
Every minute of it.
It was fun.
I loved it so much. And, what you were saying is true. At my school, though, we all did it. Like the people who were the athletes did it too. It wasn't just the people who enjoyed, like they weren't really into sports or whatever. We did here at Illini Central, some of the kids would think that, well, I'm just an athlete, or, the jocks don't do that. That's not we all did it. I mean, maybe it's because we weren't very good at sports, but we didn't, I loved it. We did it. I mean, like you said, the practices, we got to where we probably enjoyed those more just because we would improv when we got up there. Like the directors would get mad at us after a while because we just start playing around like if we were in a scene together, we were doing stuff, not like over the top, but like within the scene.
Yes.
We just had so much fun doing that. I was so disappointed in my children that they didn't do it. Like, it's funny that, I honestly wished they would have done it because it was a blast. I loved I mean that sincerely. Some of my greatest high school memories, and I know some of my classmates or people I went to school with, if they listen to this, they'll agree with me that they were in it too. We had so much fun, and we'll talk about it even in our 50s. We talk about how much fun it was.
Yeah. What was different with me is I hung out with people I'd never really hung out with before, and it was really fun. And we had like inside jokes, so only the people in the play. It was like lines that were our inside jokes, and we would just like say that if we had a class together. And so, it was really fun. Did you guys have really long practices? We had like...
Yeah, we did. We did too. Because we would always, we would joke about like the town I grew up in, where I went to school, it wasn't in any one of the towns. So we might have them after school when sports were done, because it was kind of the same situation where there wasn't really any room in the gym.
Yeah.
So if there was a sport going on, we would have to do after practice was over. But like in the spring, sometimes, we'd run into town and get snacks or whatever. We'd like spend. Yeah. I've told this is how old I am. You would go to the local grocery store. This is funny. When I was your age, this is how much older I am than you. You could go into the grocery store in the town that I grew up in the country in, and you could charge stuff to your parents. Can you imagine, like, if you're running a tab? I don't know how my dad didn't kick me out of the house for all the soda and candy. Dang. I mean, you'd get enough. I'd get enough for you and me. Like, next time it would be, we might put it on your mom and dad's tab. Like, we would do that all the time. So, I mean, it was so much fun. But you're right, they were long because you had to do certain scenes, especially scenes that maybe weren't going as smoothly. Yeah. You do those longer, or, and we were lucky that most of the kids that were in it, they weren't screwing around. Because there's a lot of time when you're down, there's downtime where you're sitting when you're not in the scene. We'd be sitting up against the wall in the back of the gym. Well, just like your gym, we'd be sitting all the way at the opposite end of the stage. Yes. And, mostly everybody were good kids, and they weren't doing things they shouldn't be doing. But there was a lot of downtime. But our directors, they were great, but they would rip you if you weren't behaving too. Yeah, so,
same. It was, Yeah, we had practice over spring break too, like 7-hour practices, because they'd feed us, so they'd be like, okay, let's run it 2 times, eat lunch 2 times, and then you leave. And sometimes when you run it all the way through, you have to run it again because whatever. But there were times where people would mess around, and then my leader personality would just be like, cut it, just do your lines, like you're not even in the scene, just like it's not hard, just sit down, you don't even have to read your lines, you can just sit there. Like, that would annoy me so bad. But this year kind of sucked with the play because our tech week, like the week you run it all, our tech week usually starts at like 4, and you run it once, they feed you dinner, one of the teachers will volunteer to make us dinner that night, and then we'll run it afterwards. That week I had the worst cold of my life. It was awful. I couldn't talk. My voice sounded congested. I was tired. I had headache. I had fatigue. I was sneezing all the time. My eyes were watering all the time. And so I'd come to these practices, and it'd be like 5:30. I'm like, and I was the lead this year, so I was in every scene, so I couldn't not come to a practice. And those were like mandatory. So I would literally sleep till 11:30. Go to school at 12 so I could just be there for the practice, because I wasn't going to be like, well, I'm sick so no one else can practice, that's on them. Like, I just couldn't do that. And so that was it really sucked. I'd like drug up, go to school. I took a NyQuil instead of DayQuil one time, and it was the worst going out through school. But luckily I wasn't sick the night of the play. But and the week before that, or the year before that, I got my wisdom teeth a week out before the play, so I couldn't eat anything. And then we had like dinner that, and I was like, I can't eat any of this stuff. Like, ugh. The sacrifices.
The thing I loved the most about it was, like, at least because we usually did comedies.
Same, yeah.
You were so nervous. You were nervous to get up there because it's not public speaking, but it's close. Yeah. And you get that first laugh. Yes. And then all of a sudden you're like, it's like you're the best volleyball or basketball player on the court. Like, you make the crowd laugh. Yeah. And you're like, okay, it's on now.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
It's so funny
Yeah.
how I can remember because you're off stage on the side waiting for your turn and your stomach's turning. I mean,
Yes.
you spoke at graduation. It gave 2 speeches at graduation, 3 speeches at graduation.
Yes.
I was there, I promise.
Yes.
And but I mean, you're sitting there waiting for your turn, and it's a nervous.
Yes.
And I've spoken at Illini Essentials graduation as a teacher multiple times, and that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But there's something about knowing you're going out there and having to remember your lines. At least you have your speech in front of you.
Yes.
At least you know what you're going to, you've probably you've practiced your lines too. But it's different because I know in a play
feed off
once,
of everyone else.
I know
if someone
in a play
else is messed up.
One night in a play, I skipped a page.
Yep. We've done that.
And I like you and I are in the scene together, and I skip a page, and the person her name was Cassie Schischler. She's 2 years older than me because I was a sophomore. She's a senior, and I skip a page, and the look on her face was like, "Tony, what have you just done?"
Yes.
And then I tried to make eye contact in terms of like,
what do we do?
Okay, I'm gonna skip to get back to a place where we absolutely would know.
Yes.
And we did it, but it was so funny.
That happened exactly the
15
same.
or 16-year-old
Yes.
me just skips an entire page, like goes from one line, skip 3 of her lines. And
We had that my junior year, and me and one other senior had to literally just scramble because with Clue you have to. Like Clue is Clue.
Yeah.
So there's certain things you have to mention. A briefcase, a key.
Yep.
If you don't say it in that scene, it's not going to make sense in the next scene.
Yeah.
So they were like, we had to say something about a briefcase. And then, because there was big mayhem. Someone was dead on someone's... It was like the crowd was laughing, so everyone kind of forgot where they were going to... what they were supposed to say.
Because then you get in those moments when everybody's laughing, and realistically,
Yes.
you're supposed to be paying attention.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure your director's told you too, but like, you're supposed to not try to keep going.
you wait till the laughter...
Because otherwise people can't
Yes.
hear you.
Yeah.
But then you also have to then not lose your train of thought, because it's almost like giving a speech in the way that it's like you're running downhill. Like, oh, this is going great. I just want to get done. Like, I want to keep it going. And then, 100%.
Yeah. We had junior high in ours because we didn't have enough high
Right.
schoolers.
Oh, they have to
And
do
most
that
of those
here, too,
junior hires
sometimes.
are great. But there were a few who didn't give it their all in practices, and that showed on stage. And that was what happened. He forgot his line. And so I was just like, well, what about the briefcase? And just like, we all just kind of sat there for a second. And I was like, someone's got to say something.
Right.
So me and one other senior were just like, okay, that we all kind of figured it out from there. But yeah, I just remember thinking, we skipped like 2 pages, and our stage crew was like, what do we do? Like blah blah blah. And then our one of our directors who did sound out there, he was like flipping through, and then we all just kind of laughed about it afterwards.
Yeah, because that would be bad. I didn't think about that because ours were probably so old that we didn't change the set a bunch, or we didn't have we wouldn't have had sound the same way. I would have really messed things up if I'd have done that. But it's just, and we used to, when we talked about it afterwards, most people probably didn't even know you did it.
Exactly.
Like
and I mentioned that to my parents. They're like, oh, we didn't even know.
They
and I
didn't
was
even
like,
notice that you did it.
But then you're beating yourself up because you're like,
the look that she gave me, I'll never forget. Like,
yes.
What have you just done?
Yeah.
How did you just do
I probably
that?
gave the same look to,
Right.
Yeah.
So, but those were, I wish every kid would get, and there are kids at Illini Central that I've known in the years I've been here that would have just killed that. Just killed it.
Yeah.
They would have been so good at it. And they never did it. And
Yeah.
there were some that I never ever would have thought would have done it.
Yeah,
that
same.
did do it. And
They're really
were
good.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were just wonderful.
Exactly.
At it.
Yeah.
Such good memories. So I just, as you were saying something about being a leader, for some reason popped in my head. And I'm glad we talked about that because we hadn't talked about that.
Yeah.
We hadn't mentioned that as a topic. So how many days till you leave for Champaign?
Oh, I haven't started counting down days yet.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Kind of just not doing that. Like, I'll wait till it's like 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
I leave on the 22nd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming up because we start school so early this year. So
Yeah, we start on the 26th, which is normal for like college, but
yeah. So looking forward to that.
yes.
Definitely not going to be Greenview, or it's
No.
not Illini Central either.
Which is exactly what I want.
Yeah. It's,
No offense to Greenview or Illini Central, but anytime I've always pictured myself going to college, especially like a big university.
yeah.
Not necessarily U of I. Like I never had a specific one in mind, but I just remember specifically in like 4th grade, we talked somehow college got brought up, and I just remember you see like college on like movies, TV shows, blah blah blah, and I was just like, I want to do that. Like I want to go somewhere where nobody knows who my parents are, who my grandparents are, what I looked like in 3rd grade. Like nobody knows who I am, and that's like exactly
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. Yeah.
And like everybody I told that I want to go to a bigger school, they're like, well, you know, like your professors aren't gonna remember your name. You're not gonna have a one-on-one connection. I'm like, that's okay with me. Like that's not like my main priority. Like I would rather have a overall experience instead of just like one-on-one. You know what I mean? Like that's not a make or break for me.
Well, I think for you, you know, having known you for 5 years now, like that's not something you need, you know, you wouldn't have needed. I gave a lecture. I remember lecturing my students when I first got to Illini Central 22 years ago about how when I got to Western, your professors don't care. Like you have to do it on your own.
Yes.
You don't need that. You know, like Tessa doesn't need that, but some of them needed me to be like, hey, you got to be, you know, you've got to understand that sooner or later in this life, it's going to be on you. You got to do it. And that's, you know, that's what's going to be great about when you get down there is, you know, I've had friends that went there. My youngest did the last 2 years of college down there. It's definitely bigger, yes, but you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it down there. Because once you get down there, it's just different.
Yes.
And it's nice to have that different experience, especially when you're really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember not wanting to go there at first. Like I was like, oh, I'll just visit just to see it. And afterwards I was like, dang, I might need to go there. I might have to visit that one more time. So yeah,
it'll be great. And you do know some people going down there, so that always
Illini Central kids going there too.
That always helps.
Yeah,
it's nice to see a familiar face every once in a while.
And it's crazy that I'm rooming with someone who convinced me to do basketball too.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out Sophie. So
yes, shout out to Sophie. She's been world traveling this summer. I think, hasn't she?
Yeah. Without me,
I haven't seen her. She's probably really ready to get down there.
Oh yeah, we've been texting a lot.
So we talked about the best part is you're going down there kind of not sure what you want to do, and we were talking about how I think that's a good thing. I think, you know, for me personally, I was telling you that before we started that I knew for sure I wanted to be a teacher when I got there, and then when things didn't go the way I wanted them to go, now you start being like, well, why am I even here then? You go down there and have a little bit of an idea, but it's kind of a blank slate.
Yes.
Then you're like, okay, now I'm interested in this. Yeah. I take this class, and that makes me want to like try this. Because for me, I was just saying that I was probably a really arrogant 19-year-old or whatever, but I thought these people teaching me how to teach, I don't think they would be a good teacher. Well, I don't know what I knew.
Right.
But then now you're not trying as hard.
Yes.
Which, you know, that wasn't the way to do it. But you're going to go down there and probably take gen ed classes right off the bat and then maybe find something that you're interested in.
Because I know what I like. Like I like learning about. Like I like the things I like, but I don't know if I would I'd say like 3 more times. Why don't you? I don't know if I would enjoy doing some of those things for the rest of my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I like writing, I like reading, I like editing papers and all that, but I'm like, could I do this for the rest of my life? Yeah. Same with teaching. I thought about teaching too, and I'm like, same with it kind of goes hand in hand with most of the things I like. Most of the things like volleyball, with basketball, with drama club, leading that, and then also babysitting. I babysit all the time. So I'm like, oh, I feel like I could be a good teacher. And then I feel like when I go there, I'm going to be like, oh, maybe I don't like it. You know? I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And I mentioned earlier, I can think of former students who, and by students, I mean, they were my students in the 7th and 8th grade. And then they would get to high school. And luckily I've been fortunate enough to build relationships with kids that they would want to come back to me. They'd cut class and come back, cut study hall or whatever, and end up in my classroom, and we'd talk life or whatever. And I remember, a really, really intelligent, hardworking person come to me one time, and she was beside herself because she didn't know what she wanted to do. I'm like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Because it could change 3 times before you don't have to. You want to get down there and enjoy it and see what happens. And you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into this is exactly what I want.
Exactly.
I don't think so. Now, there's probably some people or parents that would think, you need to have a plan. No, I had a plan. The funny thing was the thing that I grew to totally dislike. is the thing that I'm famous for.
Right.
Like being a teacher, like I said, I was still being able to coach. So I was getting my kid fix of working with and building a relationship with kids, but I didn't have to go to college to do it. That was where in my immature 19-year-old, 20-year-old brain that, like I didn't understand the work ethic that I needed and then became Mr. Wherley, the teacher, and Coach Wherley, the coach. But yeah, I think it's good to go down there and not be there in case you get in that situation where you change your mind and then you think, well, I can't change my mind.
I don't have any other thing to do.
Now you're stuck doing something that you really don't
That's
enjoy.
what I'm telling myself. Like, you don't have to love it. You don't have to even like it at all. Like,
initially, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm not putting myself in any strict
because
standard.
You're still, even though you don't want to think of it this way when you're just graduating from high school and you're getting ready to go out and tackle the world.
Yes.
You're just a kid, but you are still just, I told we were joking before about you and I saying, me telling them how close to the microphone to be. The other day I'm doing a podcast with someone that's almost 30 years old that I coached and taught. And I said in that one, I thought I was really smart at 22 when I got married at 22. And I wasn't, and at 32, I look back and I'm like, gosh, you really didn't know what you were talking about. Like you really thought that was important. And I think you do, if you quit doing that, you may not, like you said earlier, you love to learn. And then when you get to a point where you're not willing to, where you think you know it all, you're not going to learn it.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn anything. So yeah, it's a good thing. And you're going to a really good place, I think, where you'll have so many opportunities to be involved in all different kinds of things. And that's the kind, you'll do that too.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be looking forward.
Which is interesting because I remember I've been involved with something extracurricular since I've been in 5th grade. And this is the first time where I'm not. So the only thing I have to focus on is school, which is not something I've ever really had to do, but I'm super excited to because I only have to focus on one thing. Obviously, I'll get involved, but like that first semester, it's going to just be bliss. Like I don't have to worry about going someplace at 5. I don't have to help this person at this time. I don't have to babysit at this time. I don't have to go to this club at this time. I can just do school.
And you were saying before how you really thought that the classes that you
dual credit.
The dual credit things, because we do that here at Alliance Central too, how that's probably helped you at least get ready for what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, especially like it showed me how to time manage, how to...
Well, that's the number one college
Yeah,
thing,
for sure.
100%.
For sure. So I'm a little bit like, I think that helped me like tremendously. If I didn't do that, I think I would just be like, not know what to do, I think.
Yeah.
It was a good introduction to college, I think.
Yeah, because, we were joking. I was joking earlier about my lack of hard work in high school. It kind of ate me up when I got there, not doing your homework in high school or taking it too seriously. Yeah. Because, again, nobody's, and now you've got all this time on your hands and your mom and dad aren't there to watch over your,
Yeah.
And, I'm so old, you didn't have cable and whatever. When we moved to Macomb, you didn't have... I had MTV all of a sudden, which you would have loved good old MTV back in the day. And I didn't have ESPN. And I get to Macomb, and Rhonda's apartment has both of them. And, you just kill so much time. You know, it's funny, we're going to get it on the music here in a second. But, like, I would sit and watch MTV for hours when I needed to be doing my schoolwork. Because you had a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. And Monday's homework isn't due for 2 days. So I got all of tomorrow to do it. Well, then you don't do any of it on Monday night. And then you don't do it on Tuesday.
Oh, trust me. I've already got the procrastination down.
I was the king of it. I think I may have won an award for that.
But I also think with the procrastination, because most of my things, since they were online, were due either Sunday night at 11:59 or Friday. Or Saturday, whatever. It's usually at the end of the week. And so I would just like hold it off at like 6-page papers. I would write 4 pages on a Friday night. Like, not gonna lie, I did good on all of those papers, but that was not helpful for me. But I also think I did that because I had so much going on. Like I just physically, like it was mentally draining because I had so many things going on top of college and high school. So I was like, it's gonna be good to just focus on that because then I won't have to like put it off to do something else. You know what I mean? I can get it done.
You can see, and you'll know once you've been there a little bit whether you can work in maybe this club or that. I know when Rhonda went, she had to work. Her mom and dad didn't have enough money for her not to work. So to help pay bills, she worked, and she always hated the fact that she couldn't have been in, not in like 15 things, but just like one, like a student alumni council or something like that was what she really wanted to do. We've talked before about, you grew up in a small pond. I grew up in a small pond. My problem growing up in the small pond is I loved this. Not that you didn't either, but I got to even Western where there's a bunch of people that I already knew, and it wasn't me. I loved high school so much, but if you're a person who wants to do all those things, that's what makes it great, is you do have so many countless clubs and groups and things you can be involved in, especially at some place the size of U of I. And she will, to this, if she wasn't swimming right now, she would tell us that, that she hated not being able to do those things. So that's great. You'll have the opportunity to do
I'm giving myself first semester to chill, but get settled.
Yeah.
Second semester, Yeah.
It's just nice to have that opportunity to go someplace like that. Because that's one thing about going to, I don't know, maybe they have those at like Lincoln Land or whatever, but I doubt it's probably not a lot of stuff you can get involved in that you can get involved in a 4-year like that.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get into one of the main things that we were going to talk about.
Okay. I
said this before too. And if you've never listened to one of my podcasts, you're listening to this one because Tessa's on it, which was a good choice. I love music. And if you know me, I love sports too. I'm a Los Angeles Lakers fan through and through since I was a little boy. But if you told me I had to give up listening to music or watching any sport whatsoever, it takes me 1 second to say I'm giving up sports in a heartbeat. Because I literally cannot live without listening to music.
Yeah.
Can't live without it. And Tessa and kids today are growing up in what I think is one of the best time periods in terms of your ability to access so many types of music from so many
different
genres, platforms, time periods.
Yep.
I mean, the other night, and I said this if you've hung around with us till the end, I said that I post all the time. If I'm listening to something, I share it to, if you don't know what Instagram is, I share it to where anyone that's my follower can see it. It's like a story. Most people may shoot videos of themselves or whatever, pictures. I put music up. Like she knows I'll go on a run and do it for an hour at a time. And I put Simon and Garfunkel on the other night.
What do y'all know about Simon and Garfunkel?
And you're how old?
18.
You're 18, and you're like, if you're listening to this, and you're like, I know Simon and Garfunkel. It's the Bookends album. My mom and dad had it. It would have came out like in the late 60s, which again, here's what's funny though, is people think to themselves, well, but it is really good. I know it's good music, but people talk about how things like, what year were you born?
2006.
Yeah, 2007. People listening to this, like, because it was something else we listen. I'm going to let you talk, I promise. But I was looking back through our messages to one another of when I would post something and you would comment on it. But like the Sundays.
Oh, I love the Sundays.
Yeah, the Sundays. There's this song from the Sundays. I'm not going to have to look it up on my computer when you start talking, but when I let you talk. But that came out in 1990.
Yeah.
It's 16 years after or before you were born. So I mean, that's what's crazy is to think you saw me put, I think it was the song America. Is it? I think it was America from
Simon and Garfunkel.
From Simon and Garfunkel, right. That's like 67 or 68. Yeah. My mom and dad had the album, and when I saw the album cover, my sister took the album when she was in high school. She was 4 years younger than me, and it was like one of the ways she had decorated her room. Like she had kind of gone black and white and gray colors in there. And when you commented on that, I was just like, that's what I love. That's what I love about you, that we can talk about this. And when you would comment on something, it's like, I love being able to talk music with someone that's younger because you get it. So what, like...
I don't know. I just, with music in particular, or not even just music, I like old things. I have always liked things that were before my time, with like music, movies, fashion, even like home decor. Like my grandma would love all this stuff.
That was my mom. My mother-in-law's, I think, when she passed away in May, I think that's why Rhonda's got it. She just got it.
Yeah. So like all like antiques I love, like anything old I'm obsessed with. And so like hearing my mom and dad's music, which I feel like when you're little, you don't want to listen to what your mom and dad listen to.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, did they listen to a lot of music?
Yeah, my dad's like hard rock stuff, but then he has like his moments where he'll literally listen to the Sundays, which I'm like, what do you know about the Sundays? And he's like, what do you know about the Sundays?
Yeah, that's cool.
And my mom's more just like 80s, like pop, like Madonna, Michael Jackson, but then also just like Tears for Fears and stuff like that.
Yeah, because didn't you go see him?
Yeah, I went to see Tears for Fears. I was like, we got to see them before they die.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. It was so dumb because no one was standing up. There was like me and like one other young girl in the very front row who stood up the whole time. Yeah. And I was like, why is no one standing up? This is a concert.
Yeah, that's crazy that you got to see them. That's cool.
Yeah, and well, people stood up only for like their most famous songs. But if I'm going to a concert, like I don't know most of their newer songs just because whatever. But I did do my research. Like if I'm going to a concert, I'm going to know or be familiar with every song. Because I'm not just going to go there and be like, oh, I don't know the song, I'm going to sit down.
Well, that's the other funny thing is because that was the next thing I posted that night. I posted, I think it was Woman in Chains.
Yes, bro.
I think that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And because it was either that or Bad Man's Song, was it?
I think it was
Bad
both.
Man's Song.
Yeah.
It was Bad Man's Song.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not supposed to know what that is. That came out in the fall or spring of my freshman year of college.
But like
that's not a hit. Like you're never hearing that on the radio. And but again,
I like those songs though.
I know, but you don't have to listen. That's the thing is you don't have to listen to the radio at your age to find stuff. And I've done 3 podcasts in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to release one of them tomorrow that I did. I'll release this one in a couple of days. But like you don't have to listen to the radio to find it. If I put it on there and you're like, well, I trust his opinion, I'm going to try it. Well, next thing you know, you're going down a rabbit hole that I've created, or you're going to post something and I'm going to go down that. Because you replied to one of the things I put. No, it was the Sundays, and you said something about the Cranberries, which I clearly knew who the Cranberries were. But then I was like, I'm going to go back and listen to whatever.
Yeah.
And you can't because of Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever. You can.
Yes. Yeah, I'll do one better. I've been in a 50s, 60s moment for this past like year. Like, I remember being in my grandma's car. She has Sirius XM, so she plays that constant 50s on 5 or whatever, 60s on 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Those things. And at the time I was like, oh, let's listen to like the new stuff. And then like now I just went to Michigan with her not too long ago. And she played that like the whole time, and I just like knew almost every song. Like I don't know what it is. I just like I love that stuff. Like my favorites are probably like 60s, 80s, and 90s. Those are my top music. And like now there's some good music now, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of, well, that's not true. The stuff I listen to now that's made now is all over the place in terms of, like I started listening to a lot more of those country artists that aren't super popular, but only with like, I don't know if it's like a niche, like a group of people. Like, I mean, they're popular, but I don't think they're not being played on Rhonda's country music radio station that she gets ready to every day. The Tyler Childers or the Coulter Walls or people like that. That's new. That would be new. I listen to, but the rest of the things I don't. I spend so much time in the 80s. Yeah, I spend and it's partly because I go through phases of genres.
Years, like I go through phases where like, and I don't know if this is just like my personality because I'm the type of person who wants to have a playlist for fall, for summer, for this, and I'm like, oh, to get in the mood, I'm gonna play this type of music. Like my fall playlist is mainly 80s, like new wave. Like that's mainly my fall playlist.
Sure.
Yes, the Smiths. Like I love the. I went through a huge the Smiths phase like 2 years ago.
How Soon Is Now?
Yeah, that's like the best fall song.
That song is so good.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm suddenly transported and it's 50 degrees out and there's orange leaves, you know. But yeah, so like I will go through phases where I'll only listen to like one genre or like one artist. I used to have like playlists of just one artist that I would just listen to, and I'm like, I don't do that anymore, but like I kind of do in this same way. But yeah, it's weird because 80s is still like an all around thing, but I have to be in the mood to listen to 60s and 50s. Yeah. And then like
because like that Simon and Garfunkel or that album's really good. But like if you're kind of down in the dumps, it's going to keep you. It's not
That's
really
another thing.
It's not really getting you out of that.
I went through a phase where I only listened to sad music. And to me, that wasn't like, that didn't bother me. I don't know what, that was like my freshman, sophomore year, maybe my junior year. I just listened to like slow, soft, like almost like, do you know what like dream pop is and like indie kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
Almost like that with a little bit of like 90s, like alt kind of stuff. But like, I went through a phase where I was just listening to like that stuff, and then people would play something upbeat, and my upbeat would still be like something like slow and melancholy. But I don't know, I just go through phases of music, which is weird, but
I do the exact same thing. It's like
I'll rediscover. I'll hear something and I'll be like, hold on, where have I heard that song? And then I'll go into the rabbit hole. And
again, that's one of the things that makes this time period great. Is
Spotify has
Spotify, and we talked. The one I shot on Saturday, I talked to my friend Noah about it. Spotify will either help you find something within the related group of what you are listening to, or I will listen to a band and then go to whatever it considers to be the related artists and find something within there, and then that takes you down a rabbit hole.
Yes,
and you find who knows what.
Yeah,
or you see someone else do it. One of my former students and players, he put this country artist, he's newer. His name's Charlie Crockett. I'd never heard of him. I would have never heard of him. I listened to him. I got to work this morning at 5 a.m. And I listened to 4 of his albums before lunchtime
of
AirPods and because I'm working, I'm putting teacher computers together. And I've listened to 4 of his albums, and you'd never be able to do that when I was your age.
Exactly, yeah.
The only way I could listen to something new was if you had it and I borrowed it from you.
Yeah.
Or I had it and you're like, hey, what did you just buy? And I can share it with you. Otherwise, I'm never hearing it.
Yeah.
With Spotify or Apple Music, or I know some people you find on TikTok too.
Yeah.
And you can find so much stuff that you never would have found when I was your age.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, back then it was MTV. You found out who
they still had MTV when I was around, right? They stopped MTV. It was way different. It was. I remember watching it like 2 or 3 times. But
it's not real. I mean, when I was your age, I mean, it was music. All day long.
Yeah.
It was slow. Like when I got to college, then they would have a game show here or there. But like the one that you would have liked would have been like, it was called 120 Minutes, and it was all alternative at night. That's the first time I saw the artist Beck, and there's a bunch of The Cure on that, and like those. It was really, and then there was an alternative where it was just an hour of alternative music. It was it was always music, and you just never knew what you were gonna find on some of those.
Right.
And it is just totally different. It's so much better now accessing things like that. I mean, it really is.
Are you a soundtracks person, like movies and stuff?
Yeah, I like ones that definitely, obviously when you hear it, you automatically think of the scene clearly.
Yes. Yeah. I think soundtracks make or break a movie sometimes. I'm a huge. I didn't notice it before, but most of my songs that I like are from movies that I like. Yeah. Like a lot of the 80s, like John Hughes movies that I like have great soundtracks. Yeah. And then like. My parents grew us up with like 80s movies already, those ones, and then like Sandlot and all that crap. That was 90s, but I listened to the soundtrack of Sandlot, like both Sandlots. Oh my gosh, they have such a good soundtrack because those are based in this. The first one's based in the 60s, the second one's based in the 70s. So they have like great, and then like Pretty in Pink and like, oh my gosh, I love that soundtrack. I'm a soundtrack person. Like, I love soundtracks.
Sometimes the best soundtrack too, like the soundtrack for. The Breakfast Club.
Yes, I have that. Yeah.
The only song that you know on it, the only song that would have been on the radio
is "Don't You Forget."
Yeah, which is a great song, but the whole rest of it, like I had it on cassette back when I was.
I have
like
the CD
junior.
for it.
Yeah, I had it on cassette when I was like a junior in high school, and none of the other songs on it are hits, but they all like
go
instantly
with
take you, and some of them are instrumentals by people you never heard of. Perfect.
Exactly.
It's a perfect soundtrack for what you're talking about. There isn't one that's loaded with hits from those are fine too.
Yes.
But like
most of the ones on Sandlot, I'm like obsessed with I used to like, I don't know. Sandlot is just like my childhood. Any of the songs on Sandlot, like there's only like maybe 1 or 2 songs you would know, but then the rest are like songs you would never have heard before by like random people.
We knew we were going to get a cat involved sooner or later, so.
Same one?
Yep, it's the same one.
But yeah, Sandlot has like one of the best soundtracks. I listen to that like every summer to get me in the summer vibe.
Yeah, and I think in the last maybe 20 years, they probably now songs are more in them, like actual hits are in them than what maybe it was back when I was a kid, you know, barring something like Purple Rain or whatever, which I watched that the other night since it had been 40 years since it came out, which I don't really consider it a soundtrack in some ways because he wrote those songs specifically for it. But, yeah. So, yeah, music is, I could never give it up.
I know. Same.
It's the best. I mean, and there's going to be stuff that's going to happen this fall at college that there's going to be something that you're listening to that when you're 53 years old like I am, you're going to be back to that time period.
Exactly.
No matter what it is, no matter if it was something that came out 20 years ago or whether it comes out between now and then. And that's what makes it great is it instantly takes you back to whatever it was. I know one of the other ones that I had shared is the song Drive from the Cars. Gosh. And I had put, because I do this all the time, like I'll put, for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram.
I saw you ranked that.
I'll put on their best song ever question mark. And I don't know if it is, but I don't know if it's not.
Yeah.
Like I love that song.
Yeah.
That song came out in the summer between my 7th and 8th grade year. And I remembered being an 8th grader.
Yeah.
And that song, I just love that song. So it's just
that was your number one pick for your draft, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Your first pick. I watched that. I listened to that one.
Yeah, I love that album.
That was also I discovered that song my freshman or sophomore year, and like I remember I would listen to that on the way home from like a long bus ride home from a volleyball game.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what that reminds me of, but it'll probably remind me of something else too. So
yeah, but that's
it's a great song.
Yeah, and the neat thing about it is their lead singer that sings most of their songs they have two singers and the other guy he sings most of the songs he sings that song and it's just great. I love them anyway, and you'll remember when you heard it first, or you'll remember that, and then maybe something else happens, but every time I hear it reminds me of being 14 again, and that's what we've talked, those friends of mine that I've done this, no sporting event does that.
Right.
There's no Laker game I watched that makes me remember being an 8th grader. I remember games from when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. They don't have the same effect.
It doesn't have that impact at all. So,
yeah.
Well, that's a pretty darn good podcast, I think.
Yeah.
We covered some good things. So, I appreciate you driving up, and we got a chance to sit down and do this. It was fun.
It was fun.
If you listened, I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe I'll have you on again in the spring or something, and we can talk how college is going.
Part 2.
Follow up, and we'll talk about what songs we're listening to, what we listen to. And I'll know and you'll know what I'm listening to because thank heavens for Instagram. So,
yes.
Thanks again for joining me.
You're welcome.
Good to have you. Wishing you well as you start school in a few weeks. So, as I always say at the end of these, don't forget, focus on the positive things in life. Life is good. See ya.